creature over 3 meters long, weighing nearly 100 kilograms, capable of bringing down a fully grown buffalo with a single bite. When it slithers past, the entire forest falls silent. Not a dinosaur, not a legend. It is the Komodo dragon, the only living predator on Earth that allows humans to glimpse what a prehistoric hunter once looked like. But the most terrifying thing is this: science still cannot fully explain it. Where did it come from? Why does it exist only on a few isolated Indonesian islands? And how did a reptile that lived since the Ice Age manage to survive millions of years of harsh change, while every other monster vanished? On the dry, windswept islands of Indonesia, where the hot winds scatter white sand like smoke, there lives a creature that scientists speak of with both awe and fear: the Komodo dragon. Yet what makes this animal truly remarkable is not its serrated teeth or its armor-thick scales, but the mystery of its origin, a story that for more than a century, paleontologists have struggled to solve. When humans first discovered the Komodo dragon in 1910, many explorers believed it to be a surviving branch of dinosaurs, a theory born from an age still half convinced that dinosaurs might not all be extinct. Of course, today we know that isn't true. Komodo dragons are not dinosaurs, but giant lizards of the Varanidae family, relatives of monitor lizards found across Asia and Australia. Yet a far deeper mystery remains. Where did the Komodo dragon evolve, and how did it become the lonely king of just a few small Indonesian islands? There are two main scientific theories. The first proposes that the Komodo dragon originated in Australia. Fossils unearthed in Queensland suggest that its ancestor, Megalania prisca, was an enormous reptile over 7 meters long that lived about 2 million years ago. Megalania is believed to have gone extinct roughly 40,000 years ago, coinciding with the arrival of Homo sapiens on the Australian continent. Some researchers theorize that when sea levels rose and the continent split, a small population of Megalania became isolated on islands, gradually shrinking in size and evolving into the modern Komodo dragon. If this theory is correct, Komodo dragons are the last direct descendants of Australia's ancient dragons. However, the second theory tells a different story. A group of Indonesian and European biologists propose that Komodo dragons did not migrate from Australia at all, but evolved right within the Indonesian archipelago, through a process known as island gigantism, the tendency of animals to grow larger on isolated islands. In an environment with few predators and abundant prey like deer and wild boar, small monitor lizards gradually evolved into giants, filling the role of apex predator. According to this view, the Komodo dragon is not an immigrant from ancient lands, but a child of the islands themselves, the result of hundreds of thousands of years of isolated evolution. Both theories have solid scientific grounding, but the challenge lies in the evidence. The oldest Komodo fossils found on Flores Island date to about 900,000 years ago, too recent to confirm an Australian origin, yet not old enough to prove they evolved there. This million-year gap in the fossil record has been dubbed an evolutionary blind zone, a chapter torn out of Earth's natural history. To this day, no one knows for certain where the Komodo dragon came from. All we know is this: it has been here for a very, very long time, long enough to watch everything around it change, except itself. And perhaps it is that very mystery, its shadowy origin, that makes the Komodo dragon more captivating than ever. A creature that even modern science cannot yet define completely, a relic of an ancient empire, or proof that nature can create new monsters out of nothing. As the sun rises, the island of Komodo blazes like a cauldron of fire. Amid the dry landscape and scorching winds, the giant predator begins to move. It doesn't run fast like a leopard, doesn't have sharp claws like a tiger, and doesn't ambush like a crocodile. Yet in its world, no creature survives once it enters the Komodo dragon's range of smell. To understand why this animal is called nature's perfect killing machine, we need to look closely at every detail of its body. Every feature, from its scales and teeth to its saliva glands, is the product of millions of years of evolution, fine-tuned for one purpose only: to kill and eat. Let's start with the tongue. The Komodo flicks its tongue constantly as it moves, an action that seems random but is in fact an extremely sophisticated sensory mechanism. Its forked tongue tastes the air, gathering scent molecules and sending them to the Jacobson's organ in the mouth, where it analyzes the direction of the blood scent. Thanks to this, a Komodo can detect a carcass from over 8 to 10 kilometers away, a feat few other reptiles can match. For it, even a single drop of blood is like a beacon in the wind. Once it detects its prey, the Komodo approaches with terrifying patience. It moves slowly, silently, blending into the scorched yellow grass. When only a few meters remain, suddenly, every muscle tightens, and it lunges forward at speeds up to 20 kilometers per hour. The Komodo's bite isn't particularly strong, only about 40 newtons, roughly the same as a large dog's. But the real danger lies in what flows from those teeth. For years, people believed the Komodo killed using bacteria in its saliva. Observers noticed that water buffalo struck by its bite didn't die immediately, but collapsed days later, their bodies covered in necrotic wounds, leading to the theory that Komodo saliva is loaded with deadly bacteria. But in 2009, researchers from the University of Melbourne discovered venom glands hidden in the lower jaw. These glands contain more than 50 different proteins, many similar to those found in pit vipers and cobras. The proteins prevent blood from clotting, drop blood pressure, and cause victims to bleed out until they collapse. This explains why buffalo bitten by Komodos often die within hours or days, even if they escape the initial attack. However, this remains one of the biggest scientific debates about the Komodo dragon. Some scientists argue that the venom is too weak to kill large animals like deer or buffalo, and that bacterial infection from the saliva is the true cause of death. To this day, both theories hold evidence, making the Komodo one of the rare creatures whose exact killing mechanism remains unresolved. It is both a chemical assassin and a living biological weapon. After striking, the Komodo does not give chase. It lets the victim flee, then silently follows the scent trail, waiting for the venom and bacteria to take effect. Sometimes it tracks for hours, even an entire day, just to reclaim the carcass. When the prey finally collapses, the Komodo arrives first, tearing flesh apart with its serrated teeth and swallowing everything: bones, skin, even fur. An adult can consume up to 80% of its own body weight in a single meal, then lie motionless for days to digest. Nothing goes to waste. Every part becomes fuel for the apex predator of its world. The body of the Komodo is a perfect combination of ancient structure and modern adaptation. Its short but extremely muscular legs, claws that grip any terrain, thick scales filled with small bones protect it from bites. Every part of its body serves one single purpose: to survive in the harshest world. It needs no speed, no explosive power. The Komodo rules through patience, the scent of blood, and time. And it is this hunting style, slow, merciless, flawless, that makes the Komodo a symbol of pure evolution. A creature that no longer needs to change because it has already reached its own perfect limit. The Komodo dragon is not only a great predator, it is a master of survival in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. On Komodo and Flores Islands, the dry season lasts up to 8 months. Temperatures can exceed 40 degrees Celsius. The land is barren, and fresh water is as rare as gold. Yet this animal has survived for hundreds of thousands of years, while countless other species have gone extinct. The question is, how can a cold-blooded creature survive where even other reptiles can barely breathe? The Komodo has an extremely low metabolic rate. An adult needs only a few large meals each month to maintain its energy. When it makes a kill, it eats up to 80% of its body weight, equivalent to a 60-kilogram human eating 50 kilograms of meat in one sitting. The parts it cannot digest, such as hair and horns, are vomited out as food balls, round, wet, heavy clumps of indigestible material. This mechanism keeps the Komodo's stomach clean, prevents infection, and conserves energy to the maximum. When it cannot find prey, it switches to an extreme energy-saving mode, slowing its heartbeat and lying motionless for hours. Some biologists call this a half-sleep state, similar to partial hibernation in desert mammals. As a cold-blooded reptile, the Komodo should depend entirely on ambient temperature. Yet it can move and hunt for hours under the scorching sun, while its body temperature barely changes. Measuring devices show that the Komodo's body temperature remains stable around 35 degrees Celsius, similar to that of humans. This surprises many physiologists, as no other lizard maintains body heat so effectively. Some studies suggest they store heat in large muscle masses along the back and tail, acting as biological batteries. Other unproven hypotheses propose that they have a dual-layer blood vessel system, helping regulate blood flow according to environmental temperature. Though there is no official conclusion yet, it is clear that Komodos possess a thermoregulation mechanism beyond normal reptilian understanding. The Komodo is one of the few vertebrates capable of parthenogenesis, asexual reproduction. In 2006, Chester Zoo in England recorded a female named Flora laying 8 eggs despite never having contact with a male. Scientists confirmed that all embryos developed normally, and notably all hatchlings were male. This happens when a female's egg merges with another ghost egg cell, forming an embryo with ZZ male chromosomes. This phenomenon is considered an evolutionary backup plan. When a population becomes isolated, a single female can still recreate a new colony. However, experts warn that parthenogenesis reduces genetic diversity, making the population vulnerable to disease or environmental change. It is both a biological miracle and a double-edged sword of evolution. When newly hatched, a Komodo dragon measures less than 40 centimeters long, and its first enemy is the adult of its own kind. The survival rate of young Komodos is only about 10%, with most being eaten within the first week. To survive, they climb trees, living in the canopy for 3 to 4 years, feeding on insects, small birds, and eggs. When their bodies grow large enough, the young Komodos dare to descend to the ground, but the danger is far from over. Adult males constantly fight each other for territory, and sometimes even eat the bodies of their defeated rivals. This cannibalistic behavior, though seemingly brutal, actually helps regulate population numbers, a natural mechanism maintaining the species' ecological balance. Komodos can live up to 60 years in the wild and have the ability to heal wounds much faster than other reptiles. DNA studies show that their blood contains extremely powerful antimicrobial peptides capable of killing dozens of bacterial strains. Scientists are studying their potential for medical applications, especially in the development of next-generation antibiotics. It can be said that the Komodo's body is a living biological laboratory, where evolution has experimented for millions of years to discover the most efficient way to survive in extreme conditions. All of these strange traits, from parthenogenesis and thermoregulation to antibacterial blood, make the Komodo a vivid evolutionary enigma. It does not merely exist. It thrives by following its own distinct set of rules, unlike any other creature around it. And just when we think we've understood this dragon, new mysteries begin to unfold. Do they truly have memory? Do they navigate using magnetic fields? Or do they perceive the world in ways humans have yet to comprehend? The answer lies in the next chapter. In human imagination, reptiles are often seen as instinct-driven creatures, reacting, hunting, reproducing, and nothing more. However, for the Komodo dragon, that isn't entirely true. Many recent studies show that they possess a level of cognition far higher than scientists once believed. The Komodo dragon does not hunt randomly. Cameras placed in Komodo reserves have recorded scenes showing that they choose ambush spots based on wind direction and the movement patterns of their prey. They often wait near deer trails where the scent of blood and footsteps can be easily carried by the wind. Once prey enters range, the Komodo does not attack immediately but circles around, finding an angle that prevents escape down a slope or toward the sea. This is not simple instinctive behavior, but a calculated tactic, a sign of short-term planning ability. Experts call this form of intelligence situational awareness, when an animal can assess its surroundings and choose the most effective response. This ability usually appears only in apex predators such as lions or dolphins. At several research sites on Rinca Island, caretakers have discovered that Komodos can recognize individual people. When a familiar person enters the enclosure, they remain still and calm, But when a stranger appears, especially one carrying the scent of meat, they immediately raise their heads, flick their tongues, and observe closely. Some individuals have been documented remembering their caretakers even after more than 6 months apart, reacting distinctly to familiar faces. This is a rare trait among reptiles, as most species lack long-term memory or the ability to recognize faces. That has led scientists to ask new questions. Do Komodos rely solely on scent for memory, or are they truly capable of learning through experience? Experiments are still underway, but early results suggest that Komodos can recognize rewards and punishments, the basic foundation of conditioned learning. Komodo dragons do not live in packs like wolves or lions, yet they still maintain a clear social hierarchy. When feeding on a carcass, the largest one eats first, the smaller ones wait, and prolonged conflict rarely occurs. They also communicate through head and tail gestures, lowering the head when facing a stronger individual, or flicking the tail rapidly to signal danger. These behaviors suggest a minimal level of social organization, just enough to avoid conflicts within small populations. During mating season, 2 males wrestle while standing upright on their hind legs, a scene reminiscent of predatory dinosaurs in films. But more importantly, they fight only to establish dominance and rarely kill each other. That is self-control over instinct, a rare trait among solitary predators. The question of whether Komodo dragons experience emotions remains a gray area in animal behavior research. Some scientists believe that Komodos react purely by instinct, without emotions such as fear, curiosity, or pleasure. However, real-world observations are not so simple. Some individuals in captivity enjoy being gently stroked on the head or neck, often closing their eyes and lying still for minutes. While this behavior cannot yet be proven to express emotion, it suggests that Komodos are capable of more complex social responses than we once thought. The intelligence of the Komodo, though not yet precisely measured, is forcing biologists to reconsider their view of reptilian cognition. It is not merely a cold-blooded killing machine. Behind those cold eyes may lie an ancient instinct, the awareness and calculation of a survivor at the very end of evolution's chain. On Komodo Island, there are no lions, no leopards, no giant crocodiles. There is only one creature at the top of the food chain, the Komodo dragon. From deer and wild boar to water buffalo, all fall within its domain. But the Komodo's true strength lies not only in its fangs, but in its ecological role. It is the key link that keeps the natural system in balance. When a Komodo feeds on a deer or buffalo carcass, the leftovers become food for insects and bacteria. Those nutrients return to the soil, nourishing the grass, which in turn feeds the prey once more. A perfect cycle in which the Komodo is both destroyer and creator. If this species were to disappear, deer and buffalo numbers would skyrocket, vegetation would be destroyed, soil erosion would follow, and the island's entire ecosystem would collapse. Though solitary, the Komodo influences every other living thing around it. Deer avoid areas marked by its scent. Pythons and monkeys alter their routes. Birds warn each other when they detect the dragon's distinctive odor. Its mere presence is enough to reshape the behavior of an entire region, a phenomenon known as the ecology of fear. Even today, the journey of the Komodo dragon remains a mystery. They can travel dozens of kilometers, swim across the sea, and still return precisely to their original territory. Some scientists speculate that they may sense the Earth's magnetic field for navigation, though clear evidence has yet to be found. The Komodo dragon is not merely a ruler, it is the heartbeat of its island, the fragile thread keeping the rhythm of nature in balance. And when that balance breaks, it will be the first creature to suffer the consequences. Today, only about 3,000 Komodo dragons remain in the wild worldwide. A frighteningly small number, considering that hundreds of thousands of years ago, they once roamed across much of Southeast Asia. Now, Komodo survive only on 5 small Indonesian islands: Komodo, Rinca, Flores, Gili Motang, and Padar. And even those lands are changing faster than the species can adapt. The Komodo has survived ice ages and natural extinctions, but it has never faced environmental change as rapid and severe as today. Rising temperatures and drastically reduced rainfall have made water and food increasingly scarce. Lowland nesting areas are now frequently flooded due to rising sea levels. Ecologists warn that if current trends continue, half of the Komodo's natural habitat could vanish by the end of this century. Mass tourism brings major income to the region, but also waste, noise, and ecological disruption. Some Komodos have begun to alter their behavior due to constant contact with visitors. They fear humans less, hunt less, and start relying on leftover food. On top of that, rampant deer poaching, their primary food source, forces them to travel farther in search of prey, increasing conflict with local communities. In response, Indonesia established Komodo National Park, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1991. Here, rangers monitor individual dragons with GPS tags, protect breeding areas, and regulate tourist numbers. Several research centers are also testing semi-wild breeding programs. In these, young Komodos are raised safely for a few years before being released into the wild. Yet all these efforts are temporary, for if their habitat disappears, there will be nowhere left to return them. The Komodo dragon has existed for over 2 million years, enduring every challenge nature could impose. But now, its fate rests entirely in human hands. Will we have the wisdom and responsibility to preserve this creature? Or will the Komodo dragon soon become just another museum name beside the fossils of Megalania, its long-extinct ancestor? Perhaps on that fragile line between existence and extinction, the Komodo continues to fight, silently, as it has for millions of years. An ancient being struggling to survive in our modern world. Across the Indonesian archipelago, the Komodo dragon still walks quietly, a living fragment of the age of giants. Through millions of years of evolution, it has witnessed the dinosaurs vanish, the oceans shift color, and humanity rise. Now we are its final challenge. If this dragon disappears, Earth will lose more than a species. It will lose the last living witness to nature's once magnificent past.